I was walking home from my part-time job in Shibuya one night, close to 1 a.m. The streets were nearly empty and a thick fog rolled between the tall buildings. I took a shortcut through a narrow alley I usually avoided, but it was late and I was too tired to care. That's when I saw it. A vending machine stood alone under a broken streetlight. Not usual in Tokyo, but something about it felt wrong. The machine flickered, casting strange shadows on the walls around it. It looked older than the others. Faded buttons, cracked plastics, and no brand names. Just a glowing sign that read "Delicious" in flickering red. I stepped closer. The machine was stocked with drinks I didn't recognize. Glass bottles with no labels. Just symbols etched into the glass. I was about to walk away when I saw movement inside. Behind the rows of bottles, there were eyes. A girl, maybe 10 or 11 years old, pale face, long black hair pressed against the glass. Her lips moved soundlessly. Her eyes locked onto mine. I stomped back. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe a scream, an ad, a prank. But then she reached up and knocked from the inside. I heard it. 3 soft taps. Her mouth opened wide, mouthing one word. Help. I froze. My instincts screamed to run. But instead, I reached into my pocket and inserted a 100-yen coin. The machine buzzed. The lights flickered violently, and the screen glittered. Then a bottle dropped into a tray. I picked it up. It wasn't cold, it was warm. When I held it up to the light, I saw something floating inside. Hair. I dropped it, heart pounding. When I looked back at the glass, the girl was gone. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my apartment, shaking, sweating. I locked the door, turned on every light, and sat in the corner of my room until morning. The next day, I returned with my phone to take a picture. The alley was still there, but the vending machine wasn't. Nothing, not even the broken light. I asked a nearby shop owner about it. He frowned and said there was a vending machine there 20 years ago. A girl disappeared. They say her spirits got trapped. No one's seen it in years. I never used the vending machine late at night again, but sometimes when I walked alone past certain alleys in Tokyo, I hear 3 soft taps echoing from the shadows, and sometimes I see a pair of small hands pressed against the glass that isn't there, mouthing the word help. I had just moved into a small apartment in Yokohama. It was a quiet building, nothing fancy. I didn't know anyone yet and kept to myself. On my second morning there, I opened the door to get some fresh air and saw a bento box sitting neatly on the welcome mat. At first, I assumed it was a neighbor's or maybe a delivery mistake, but when I picked it up, I saw my full name written in elegant calligraphy on the lid. My name, not the mailbox, not on the list, but perfect down to kanji. No notes, no sender. The food inside was warm, perfectly packed. Tamagoyaki, grilled salmon, pickled vegetables, things my mother used to make when I was a child. She passed away 10 years ago. I hadn't tasted food like this since her funeral. I threw it away. I didn't have the appetite. But the next morning, another bento box appeared. Same name, same handwriting. This time, the contents were different. Fried chicken, rice balls, even a palm in the center. All of it exactly how my mother used to pack my lunch for school. Even the toothpick flag in the rice said, "Gambate," the same way she encouraged me. I checked with the handlord. He said no one had been seen near my door, no security footage, no deliveries. The third day, the bento came with the photo inside, a picture of my mother, crying, sitting at the kitchen table, hands over her mouth, staring at something or someone off camera. I don't own that photo, I've never seen it before. That night, I dreamed of our old house. I was a child again, sitting at the table. My mother was cooking, but she wouldn't turn around. I called her name, but she just stirred the pot faster. Then she turned. Her face was blank, mouth stretched wide open, her eyes completely black. I woke up to a knock at the door. Another bento box. This time there was no food, just a mirror. And in the mirror was me, but older, thinner, hollow, like someone who had been trapped somewhere for years. Behind the reflection, my mother stood, whispering something I couldn't hear. I haven't opened the door since, but every morning a new box appears, closer to the door, warmer, heavier. And last night, I found a pair of chopsticks gently placed under my pillow. They were my mother's, the same one she was buried with. Tomorrow, if there is another box, I think I'll open it, and this time I might eat. Last winter, I traveled to Beppu, hoping to relax in one of its famous hot springs. I was stressed, tired, and looking for solitude. The place I booked was an old ryokan with a private onsen. The innkeeper was quiet, polite, and warned me not to enter the steam room after midnight. I thought she was joking. That night, I couldn't sleep. My body ached, and the warmth of the onsen was too tempting. I grabbed a towel and headed down to the bathhouse. The hallways were empty, lit only by soft lanterns. I slid open the bathhouse door and stepped inside. The room was silent. Steam floated in thick, slow waves. Everything felt heavier. I sucked for a while and stayed to relax. Then I noticed the steam room door was open just a crack. I don't know why I walked in. Maybe I was curious. Maybe it was the heat messing with my head. Inside, it was hotter, darker. I sat down on the wooden bench and closed my eyes. That's when I heard it. A whisper right beside my ear. "Come closer." I jumped, heart racing, but no one was there. I listened carefully. The steam hissed softly. Then another whisper. "Do you remember me?" I stood up, about to leave, when I looked at the mirror on the opposite wall. It was fogged up, but a faint reflection stared back. It was me, but smiling. I wasn't smiling. I stepped closer, and my reflection did too. Then I stopped, but it kept walking toward me. Its smile widened, eyes completely black, lips moving, whispering words I couldn't hear. I ran. The door slid open too slowly, like something was pulling it from the other side. I shoved it and stumbled out into the bathhouse. But the whispers followed me, now echoing around the room. "Don't leave me again." I threw on my robes and ran back to my room, slamming the door shut. My reflection in the bathroom mirror stared at me, still grinning. I covered it with a towel. I couldn't sleep that night. In the morning, I asked the innkeeper about the steam room. She went pale. You heard her, didn't you? She told me the ryokan used to belong to a woman who lived alone after losing her daughter in the bathhouse. Some say she used to steam to bring her back. Guests started vanishing, always after midnight. The inn was closed for years before reopening. I checked out that day, but now, even back home, every time I shower, the mirror fogs up. And sometimes, when I wipe it clean, I see her, not me. Her, smiling, whispering, still waiting in the steam. Last spring, I visited Nara for a solo trip. I'd been feeling burnt out and thought a quiet break in the country yard would help. On my second day, I found a flyer pinned to a wooden post near a temple. It was hand-drawn and read, "Art installation, the Mirror House, one visitor at a time." It was down a side road behind the bamboo grove. I followed the path and found a small, old building with mirrored panels covering the outside. A young woman in kimono stood at the door. She smiled and simply said, "No photos allowed, no touching the mirrors." I stepped inside. The air was cold, silent. The whole interior was made of mirrors, walls, floor, ceiling. I could see myself from every angle, thousands of versions of me reflecting back. At first I laughed nervously. It was beautiful but strange. I walked further in, and the light began to dim slightly, like clouds passing over the sun outside. Then I noticed something. One of the reflections wasn't following me. In the leftmost mirror, my reflection didn't move. I just stood there, frozen. While I turned and looked around, I waved. It didn't. I froze. The reflection began to smile, slowly, wider than my real smile, too wide. Then I stepped back in panic. The reflection raised its hand and tapped the glass. I ran back the way I came, heart pounding. Every mirror showed my real reflection except that one. And as I passed it again, it followed me now, still smiling, its eyes darker than mine. I brushed out the house into the sunlight. The woman was gone. The bamboo path was empty. I didn't speak to anyone about it. But ever since I returned to Tokyo, strange things have been happening. When I look in mirrors, bathrooms, train windows, even my phone camera, I sometimes catch a glimpse of her. She looks like me, but not quite. She's always smiling. She doesn't blink when I do. And last night, as I brushed my teeth, she didn't copy me. Instead, she leaned forward and whispered without moving her lips, "You came inside, now I get to come out." I smashed the mirror, but I still see her. In her places, store windows, black screens, puddles, she's getting closer. I don't know how long I have before she steps out of the reflections for good. I avoid mirrors now. But I saw her again today. She's not in the mirror anymore. She's standing behind me.